One type of linear relationship that actually has its foundation in numbers is called an arithmetic sequence. But in general, a sequence is any sort of ordered list of numbers. Each number in the sequence is called a term, and each term, a sub n, that's how we say it, has a specific position n. So, for example, first position, instead of saying 5 is in the first position on the list, we would say 5 is a sub 1, first position. 10 would be a sub 2. And I say sub in order to identify that it's underneath the number instead of above the number. Like this is a sub 3, but this is a to the third power. So you see they are not the same. And so that's how you would identify which position on the list each number is in. It's kind of like when we were doing slope and we had y2 minus y1. It wasn't saying y squared, it just meant y number 2. In an arithmetic sequence, the difference between each pair of consecutive terms is the same. So that's like the slope, right? It has that constant rate of change. The difference has an official name. It's called the common difference. And then each term is found by taking that common difference and just kind of going with the pattern. So in example 1, they just want us to kind of come up with the next few terms. So we have to figure out what that pattern, what that common difference is, and then just keep going with it. So if you look at the list, you see that it's actually going down by 7 every time. So the next 3 numbers, because that's what they want, the next 3 numbers would be negative 35, negative 42, and negative 49, because it's going down by 7 every time. If you want to take these and turn them into a graph, you would let the position number be the x value, and the term, the actual value, would be the y value. Great, so let's do that. So we've got this sequence, 4, 8, 12, 16, etc., and they want us to graph it. So since all of our numbers are in the positive quadrant, we're just going to be quadrant 1 only. So term 1 is 4. So I can go by 4s, right? 4, 8, 12. Okay. So term number 1 is 4. Term number 2 is 8. Term number 3 is 12, 16. And then the question is, what do you notice? Tell me something that you notice. You might have noticed a bunch of things, but the main thing that you should notice is that when you plot these dots, they make a line. And I actually gave you a spoiler in the very beginning. This is something that has its foundation in linear functions. Now, the one thing that we don't do is we don't connect the dots. Unlike all of the other times when we were plotting dots, we would always plot our dots, and then we would connect them with a straight line, right? Duh. But we can't do that here because there's no such thing as the 2/3 term, right? So you have the first term, the second term, the third term. You don't have the 2.5 term. You don't have the 3 3/4 term. There's no fractional terms. And so since there's nothing in between these two dots, you don't make a line, because if you think back to inequalities, if I were to color this in, that would mean that there's something between those values. So you have to leave it blank. So even though it looks super incomplete, you actually just leave the dots as they are. This next question asks us to figure out if the graph represents an arithmetic sequence. So if we're looking at a list, we're looking for that common difference, the same number being added or subtracted. In a graph, we're also looking for it to be a line. So these kind of look like they're in a line. So perhaps let's just check the values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so that makes sense. And then 15 to 12 is minus 3. So that's also minus 3, and that's also minus 3. So yes, it is an arithmetic sequence because the dots form a line. So that's basic arithmetic sequences. Let's look at turning them into functions. As we just discovered, the arithmetic sequences have a common difference, so therefore we're looking for that constant rate of change. So we look for a line. So kind of like the slope and intercept, we can use the first term and the common difference to write a linear function. So here's our first example. We've got a first term of 4, and our difference is 3. So the first term is just 4. Then we have 4 plus 3, because that's our pattern. And then we have 4 plus 3 plus 3, which is 2 times 3. Then we add another 3, then we add another 3 and another 3 and another 3, right? We keep adding 3's until we end up with whatever term we want. What ends up happening is that you create this formula right here. Highlight or underline or circle or whatever you want this formula. This is the formula for an arithmetic sequence. So let me go through what the different parts mean down below. So the formula that we have is a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. And the pieces are a1 is the first term, d is that common difference, n is the position number, and a sub n is the final value. The reason that it's n minus 1 is because the first term doesn't actually get added with anything, so it kind of has to bring it back down to adding 0. So that's why we have n minus 1. So let's use this equation. We're going to write the equation for the nth term, meaning some generic random term, using the sequence 14, 11, 8, 5. So the first thing that we need to know is what that first term is. So we have that the first term is 14. That's a sub 1. Then we have to know what the common difference is. So what is happening in this pattern every time? Well, it's being subtracted by 3. So we're going to put it all together in a moment. I just want to point out that it asks you to find a sub 50. You don't do that until you get the formula. So first we need the a1 and the d. We're going to put it all together in a formula, and then we'll find a sub 50. So the formula goes like this. A sub n equals a sub 1, which is 14, plus n minus 1 times the common difference, which is negative 3. Now I used a dot so it didn't look like minus. I will tell you though that that's one way to write the formula. That's beginner level and that's totally fine. So you can circle this if you want. But a lot of times you'll see books or in the more advanced courses, you'll see that they will actually distribute the negative 3. So let's go through and let's just do that. But it's the same thing. So a sub n equals 14 minus 3n plus 1. When you distribute, you get that. And then you just combine, so you get a sub n equals 15 minus 3n. These say the same thing. They're the same formula, but one is just the distributed version of the other. You might want to keep this original formula because you can easily see what the first term is, that's 14, and you can easily see what the difference was, that was negative 3. If you're in this formula, you can probably see the difference, negative 3, but you don't necessarily see that it starts at 14. All right, now we're going to take our formula, and let's just take our easier looking formula, this one right here, and let's use a sub 50. So instead of n, I now know that they want the 50th term. So a sub 50 is equal to 15 minus 3 times 50. So that's pretty simple. You just calculate. So this tells me that the 50th term is negative 135. Now, no one would ever keep subtracting 3, minus 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 3, 50 times. So this is a much quicker way of finding what that 50th term would be. This formula right here is just saying that instead of a sub n, you could call it f of n, meaning like kind of like f of x, right? The function notation. Instead of that, you can use the f notation, but it really means the same thing. All right, one more example. Number 5. Online bidding for a purse increases by $5 for each bid after the $60 initial bid. That couldn't sound more like an arithmetic sequence if it wanted to, because they tell us that it has a $60 initial bid, so that's our starting value, and it tells us it increases by $5, so that's our common difference, right? It's like jumping out at us off the page. So we have to write a function that represents the arithmetic sequence. They use the word function, so let's use f notation. So we have f of n is equal to a sub 1, which is 60, plus n minus 1 times 5, because that's the common difference. You can leave it like this, or you can distribute. I'm going to distribute because I feel like it. Hold on, that 60 is sloppy. It's bothering me. Okay. So you can leave it just like this. That's totally fine. But I'm going to distribute. So I get f of n equals 60 plus 5n minus 5. So f of n equals 55 plus 5n. The next thing that it wants us to do is to graph the function. So when you graph a function, you want to look at your values first. And they actually gave us a table, so that's super easy to graph. I could just plot these points and be done with it. So the points are only in the first quadrant because you can't have negative bids and you can't have negative dollars. So this is going to be bid number, and this is going to be bid amount. I can have my bid numbers go by 1. But if you read the story, it says that the initial bid is $60. So I can skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like all of the tiny bid amounts because the first bid was 60. So we put a little squiggle break, and then we put our first value. So that's 60, and we'll go by 5s. That'll be friendly. Whoop, that's 70. Okay. And so now you just plot. So bid 1 was 60, so that's right here. Bid 2 was 65. Bid 3 was 70. Bid 4 was 75. And we're done. That's it. Move on. All right, now we go to the winning bid is $105. How many bids were there? So we can use either formula. We can use this beginner level formula, or we can use this more advanced one. I'm going to use the more advanced one because it's simpler, but either one is fine. You just have to be careful of your order of operations and your inverses if you use the more complex one. Now, here's the thing. 105 is not n. 105 is the final answer. N stands for the number of bids. So we need to figure out how many bids it took. Was it the 5th bid? Was it the 25th bid? Was it the 17th bid? How many people bid in order to make the purse $105? So if you think of our function, we're just going to bring our function down here. And instead of f, we're going to put 105. So it's going to say 105 equals 55 plus 5n. And then you can just solve that, right? Like subtract 55. And so there were 10 bids. If you have any questions, write them down and ask me when you come to class.